Um, let's review a little bit about set 12. So as you're simplifying these expressions that look something like this, remember, you do not have to write down the original problem from the book onto your paper. Everyone understand? You can do a step, right? So what's that step going to be? What's the first thing you're going to write on your paper? What are we going to do as we write it down at first? Yep, simplify what's inside parentheses. So we're just going to write down, well, this is -8. And -2 plus 5, that's 3. Now, what you simplify inside the parentheses has to stay in the parentheses. The parentheses don't go away, do they? They don't mean do what's inside of me now. They mean multiplication, don't they? They even meant multiplication up here as well. So now that's what we're going to do. We're going to say -3 times -8 is +24. And 3 times 3 is +9. And then we can add those two numbers together. And what I have in red here, that's what I expect to see on your paper. Everyone understand?
Yes.
Okay, so if I just get an answer, or if you write down the original problem and then give me the answer, some kids try to do this and then they'll just put that. And I'm like, well, you either got that out of the back of the book or from your friend. So you're not getting points for that, okay? Make sure that you show me what you're doing. Now today, we're going to be doing the same stuff, okay? However, it's just going to be a little more complicated. What's different here that you haven't seen before? Yeah, the brackets. We haven't done problems with brackets. Now, we talked about symbols of inclusion. We talked about parentheses and brackets and braces. Do these brackets mean anything different than parentheses?
No.
They don't. They don't. Okay? They're the same thing. In fact, we could have just made them a little bit bigger parentheses, just so that we could tell that those two go together. That would work just as well, right? So, what do you think we still need to do here? Or I guess I should say, what's the first step still? Yeah, do what's inside the parentheses. And we're just going to start inside. Okay, we're going to start on the innermost parenthesis, and we're going to just kind of work our way out. So, what particular thing do you see? What actual operation do you see that we need to do first?
-2 minus 4.
Yeah, -2 subtract 4. And as you write this down, don't get lazy, don't leave stuff out, don't change brackets to parentheses, just do a little bit. That's the first step. If you'll do that and write it down like this, now it's pretty clear what we need to do next, isn't it?
-6 times -3.
Ooh, times?
I mean,
And now that's a good question, and I saw that on the quiz yesterday too. Was I think we're having a hard time deciding, are we multiplying right here, or is this an addition problem? So because there's a negative separating the parenthesis and the integer right here, this is plus -3, isn't it? Okay, now if I had another parenthesis, that would make it multiplication, wouldn't it? So if it looked like this, see how that's multiplication,
yeah.
right? Or how about that? What's that going to be? That's going to be multiplication, isn't it? How about this one? That's addition, isn't it? Is that the same thing? Those two?
Yeah.
Same thing, isn't it? Okay. So now we're just going to go back, and this is now a problem like we did yesterday. Okay, there's one thing to do inside the parenthesis. So negative 6 subtract 3. Okay. And then we're going to do the multiplication. We're going to take care of any double signs, stuff like that. So that this step is a big step. We're doing the multiplication. We're getting rid of all the parenthesis symbols. We're getting rid of all the double signs. So if it says subtract negative 4, we're going to take care of that. We're going to do that all on this step. So negative 3 times negative 9, what is that? Say it. Good. And then subtract 2, and then we end up with 25. So that's in the book. This is what I expect to see on your paper. Okay, now I'm not going to give you 30 of these, right? You're only going to get maybe three of these today. They're not going to be, you know, horrible, not going to take you forever. So show the work and don't get lazy about it. If you do get lazy about it and you're just not doing it all, you're not showing it all, you're really wasting your time because you're not going to get the answer correct anyway. So what do you think? No. Yes. We can do this, can't we? There's nothing hard here. There's nothing difficult. Every single thing here is just a little simple problem. It's just a matter of doing them in the correct order, right? So, can you see those two bits right there? The innermost parenthesis. When we write this down from the book, would it be okay if we did that? Those two parts? Yeah, and that's it. That's all I'm going to do. So I have 4 times 2 times, oh my goodness, I can't say this enough. Do what's inside of it, but it's still in a parenthesis. If you don't put the parentheses around the negative 6, it's not going to say what it's supposed to. That's what I said, negative 5. It's not going to say multiply, is it? Thanks. And then over here, negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. In parentheses still. Still have the bracket, still have the brace. Subtract 2. Looks pretty bad, but it's better than it was, right? Okay? Now think about what you would do next. Just think about that part. Okay? I see some hands coming up. Okay? You see that? Is that what you guys think?
Yes.
Do you think we could do that and subtract the 5 kind of in one step? What do you think about that? Would that be, I think that'd be okay. So when I write it down again, 2, we're gonna go negative 5 times negative 3, 15, subtract 5, 10. We can do that. Okay, now think about the next thing. Okay? Okay, think about the last thing you're going to do. What is the very last thing you're going to do? Subtract the 2. Do you all understand that? Okay, even if it were, well, I won't go there. We'll just do it this way. 4 times 2? 8 times 10? 10 times 2? Times 4? 4 times 10? Times 2? Does it matter what order we multiply in? Doesn't matter. So we have 80 subtract 2, and then that turns out to be 78. Okay? And this is what I expect to see on your paper. Notice how I worked my problem down the page, right? And it just gets simpler and simpler and simpler and simpler. Now, something I need you guys to understand. This big nasty thing right up there is a symbol, right? And that symbol represents the same number on the number line as that symbol, doesn't it? Okay, it's just like saying this. Do these two symbols represent the same number on the number line? They do. Different symbols. We're talking about the same number though, aren't we? Okay? It's the same thing here. This is just different ways to write the number 78. Write a symbol for 78. We just want the simplest one, don't we? Okay? And that's all you're doing is you're simplifying what's going on there. Okay? Problems you're more likely to see on end of year tests and things like that are just simple things like this. Just do that in your head. Don't write down anything, just do it in your head. Did you get 14? If you didn't get 14, think about it again. Okay? Are you thinking, oh, I've got to do the multiplication first?
Yeah.
It's so easy to look at that problem and say, oh, that's 6 times 3. Right? Okay? But order of operation makes a big difference. Does your calculator know that?
Yes.
2 plus 4 times 3. What's it going to say?
14.
Yeah, it's going to say 14. Okay, it's going to do order of operations. In fact, do you think we could type this long nasty thing into a calculator and it would get it?
Yeah.
4 open parenthesis 2 open parenthesis another open parenthesis negative 3 subtract 2 close parenthesis open parenthesis negative 7 plus 4 close parenthesis subtract 5 close parenthesis subtract 2. Sweet! I wonder if you could just type all that in your calculator and then write 78 on your paper.
No.
Why not?
Then Mr. Collins would do that.
Because Mr. Collard will say your calculator gets 30 points and an A in this class and you get 0 points and not an A, right? I've got to see this. I got to see you do it. Okay? Plus, that was kind of hard typing all that in the calculator, right, wasn't it? The open parentheses and the closed parentheses. Okay. So, here. Let me just give you a problem. Why don't you try that? Oh, are you bringing me books?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, just put them over there on the floor for me. It's good. I'll get them. Put them in the closet. All right. Thanks. What's the very first operation you guys did?
3 times 6.
The 3 times 6? Then what? Did you divide that 18 by 2 next?
18.
18 divided by 2. What about this 6 times 2? Do you have to do that before you can subtract? You do, don't you? Okay, so if I were going to do this problem, I would think of it like this. 6 plus, let's see, I need to get all that done. 18 divided by 2? 9. And I need to get all this done. Isn't that just negative 12? Negative 6 times 2? Are you thinking it that way? Negative 6 times 2? That's what it is. Okay. And now it's all addition. We can just go ahead and add it up. You could even go 6 plus negative 12 first, if you want. But it looks to me like we have 15 subtract 12 is 3. Okay? Okay, now I want you to do this one. Notice anything odd? You notice something? What do you notice about it? It's the same problem, isn't it? I just wrote it a little bit differently. Which one's more clear about what to do and when to do it? Yeah, this one's a lot more clear, isn't it?
But the problem.
In fact, I could even do this. Right? To kind of let you know, hey, you got to get all that done before you worry about anything else. You've got to do 18 divided by 2 is 9, and the 6 times 2 before you worry about the addition and subtraction, right? So we still end up with 3. Parentheses. They help, don't they? They make things clear. Now, the next part of the lesson I've already taught you. It is the odd-even rule with negatives, right? So if we have an odd number of negatives, what does that tell us? Negative. If we have an even number, positive. So if I have something like the opposite of negative 3, 3 negatives, what does that come down to? Okay, so we don't have to sit there on the number line and go back and forth and say, okay, let's see, the opposite of the opposite of the opposite. We don't have to do that every time, do we? Okay. What if I'm multiplying and there are 10 negatives that I'm multiplying together, and then there's 63 positives? What would the answer be? How many negatives were there? There's 10 negatives. So there's 10 negatives, 63 positives, okay? And I multiply all those numbers together. Will the answer be positive or negative? It'll be positive. Does it matter how many positives there are when we multiply? It makes no difference at all, does it? Okay, we don't need to read. You're going to be given some problems like this. You don't even need to read that part about how many positives there are. All we care about is how many negatives are in the problem. So when I see a problem like this, the first thing I'm going to do is just look at it really quickly and say, oh, the answer is negative. How do I know that? There's 3 negatives. Yeah. And then I'm going to worry about, oh, 12 times 5, that's 72, times 11, oh crap, I'm going to actually have to write something down and multiply this out and then times by 3. But I don't worry about, you know, this is negative 12, times 5 is positive 72, that's positive, and then I times by a negative. I just look at the problem, I know the final result is going to be negative, and then I don't have to worry about that. Even if I used a calculator, I wouldn't type in negative 3, I wouldn't use this symbol right here. I can look at the problem, know the answer is negative, so I would just type in 3 times 4 times 5 times 11, did I get that? Times 3, so we come up with 1980. I already knew the answer was negative. I already wrote down the negative before I did the multiplication so I don't forget it. Correct? Is that the way you guys do it? At least from now on, I hope. Okay? And that's it. You got this. Set 13, let's get it.